Everyone, and welcome to the Defenders Spoilercast. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.
We elected to do this one not live, pre-recorded, because we went ahead and finished it pretty early, and
no one else wanted
nobody else that we work with had gotten anywhere close and had just started it. So we could have waited a little bit for them, but I didn't get the sense that people were diving right into this, so we decided to just go ahead and record it since we've already finished. It was just 8 episodes, so it was pretty easy. You had a day off, it was pretty easy to binge it over a couple of days.
Yeah.
And so anyway, for folks that really like the live spoilercast, sorry, this one we didn't do that way, and involve people as we were talking about it in the comments, but we thought we'd go ahead and just do this one pre-recorded and give our thoughts pretty much directly after watching it. We finished it last night. We've had a day to noodle it.
It was really bold to adapt that film Defendor into a full-blown
You know,
TV series.
I had that thought while we were watching. I was like, I wonder what Defendors would look like. The Defendors. And then it's just him cloned 4 times.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, it'd be great.
I love that movie. I don't know if you know that. I love that movie.
I like it too. I think he got a 3 or 3.5 on Superhero Rewind. I mean, I really enjoyed it. Was that Woody Harrelson?
Yeah, Woody Harrelson.
Woody Harrelson. And Elias Koteas is in that
Elias Koteas is in that. He has no hair anymore.
He's great.
He had such beautiful hair. I feel so sad.
Yeah, he got older. And that was a few years ago, so now he's even older, because that's what you're older than you've ever been, and now you're even older. So we're going to put an hour on the clock. I don't know if it's going to take us that long to talk about this, but usually these are hour-long spoilercasts, so if we have that much to say, we'll let it go that long. And Eric, right off the gate, I guess we're not going to do signs and stuff, because it's not a feeling about, but let's sort of do that. When this was all said and done, and when we finished the 8 episodes, what was your kind of immediate impression of it?
That it was obligatory. No one making the show wanted to make the show. And I don't mean the actors. I mean the crew. There was no flair to the direction. Nobody was excited to direct this. We talked about going back to Daredevil season 1, what the fights looked like that ninja fight.
Yeah.
Nothing ever looks like that.
Just being generalized right up front, did you overall think this didn't really work, or did you just have a lot of issues with it?
I thought it
wasn't entertaining. Did you enjoy it? Was it a waste of time?
I thought it was lackluster.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the problem. I enjoy the middle bit.
Yeah.
The opening, I feel like it takes too long for them to all get together. And then the back half, boy, do I not care about the hand or Elektra, and boy, does none of that make sense. When they first get together, I agree. When they first get together and they're hanging out in Chinese restaurant and stuff like that, I liked that.
That whole middle episode was a 5 or 6. I liked a 5. I liked that a lot.
And every scene with Stick is gold.
Yeah. Well, there are certain characters, and we'll talk about that. There are certain characters that every time they open their mouth, they're consistently written, and they have interesting or amusing things to say. I think Jessica is that way for the most part. There's some stuff toward the end, because again, I think the writing overall gets lackluster, and luckily Stick dies before that happens.
Yeah.
Before that happens overall. But anyway, what else?
I didn't feel like the writers were excited about any of this. They weren't having any fun with the ninjas.
I didn't think so either.
It was all very been there, done that for this kind of material in general, and for these series. I've already seen all of this.
And it should feel like a big deal, because now 3 of our 5 seasons within this world have been about this organization.
Yep.
And we'll also get into the things we don't think make sense about the organization, but it's really weird that you get to the end and I'm like, I wish we'd... I kind of found myself wishing that the Defenders had gotten together to beat some other threat that just required them all because it was so big, but wasn't a thing that attempted to move forward all their stories. There are places in which that really works.
When they did Daredevil season 1 and they did some Inklings of the Hand stuff, it seemed like a cool idea. Of course, you do 100 ninjas. That's what these 4 people would have to fight.
Well, and when Stick's talking about a war, okay, so this is our army.
Yeah, exactly. And then you have Daredevil season 2, and we do 100 ninjas, and we kind of have a war. Punisher's there and everything. You had Punisher, Elektra, and Daredevil.
And then we make that what all of Iron Fist is about.
And then that's what all of Iron Fist is about, and it gets real muddy and real complicated, and by the time you're done with Iron Fist, you're just done with the hand, and then it's...
Yeah.
And
it was exhausted.
And when this starts, maybe it wasn't intentionally played like a mystery. I didn't know a lot going into the show, but we were like, what's Sigourney Weaver doing? What?
Yeah.
And then 2 or 3 episodes in, you're like, oh, she's running the hand.
Yeah.
And then it's just more hand stuff, and the hand never makes sense, and I never care.
I don't think there's an interesting ideology there, like you would expect there to be, especially after all the really thought-provoking stuff we did with the first season of Daredevil.
Well, Daredevil, Jessica Jones,
and of course, bits of it are in the background. We have Gal there from the very beginning, so I'm expecting something that like really makes me think. I'm expecting them to have some sort of an angle on something.
And it doesn't seem like they had a plan.
No, it doesn't.
Daredevil, specifically season 1 with Kingpin. And
it's kind of, in a way, it's kind of the Arrow Deathstroke thing.
Yeah. And specifically season 1, Daredevil with Kingpin. I guess you could count Frank in season 2 of Daredevil, Purple Man, and then is it Diamondback? Who's the one that dies halfway through?
That's
spoilers.
Yeah, that's Diamondback.
Diamondback,
right? And then
which Cottonmouth. Cottonmouth dies halfway through.
Thank you. Yeah.
And
I keep doing that.
And then the Cottonmouth, you have really interesting antagonists.
Like how fascinating were
really
all those guys.
well-developed antagonists, and like that, they became the gold standard for supervillains. Like that was the thing people kept saying when they
not
watched,
just with these shows, but on-screen adaptations.
Yeah. People kept watching, or people kept saying, as they watched the Marvel movies, like why can't they have villains like the Netflix shows and things like that? This has none of that.
Mm-mm.
There's one guy that I think is really cool, and that's just because he's Japanese and speaks in Japanese. And he's the only one I can buy can probably actually fight. But I never learned anything about him.
I don't feel like we learn enough about anybody. The Sigourney Weaver, as you would expect, because she's a veteran, brilliant actress, has tons of screen presence. She's a really good casting choice. She's very committed, and she's not treating this as a throwaway role. And that's wonderful. And I spent I don't know if you go this far. I spent going all the way up until she gets killed, thinking she was going to get more interesting.
Yep.
All the way through. Maybe a little bit less so after we got to her big thing being just, I resurrected this person and she's the most important thing.
I start to lose interest in her once she has that confrontation.
But I still thought maybe we would open her up a little bit more. And
yeah, well, I kept waiting
because I was waiting for an explanation.
Yes, I kept waiting for anything to be explained. I start losing interest the second she starts talking to the other four. I still see what she sees in Elektra as the Black Sky and all of that. Yeah. The second she starts talking to the other 4 members of the Hand, and they're like, yeah, we don't know if we want to go along with you. And she's like, don't you understand? It's the Black Sky, the Black Sky, the Black Sky. And I'm like, but what does that mean? She kills people.
Yeah.
There's nothing special. There's nothing unique. I don't understand what her vision is, what the Black Sky is going to... She's just a killer. What is the big deal?
She doesn't seem any stronger or more skilled than our heroes?
No, she talks about her like okay, I'm gonna go off for a split second.
Yeah. Sure.
In the IDW Transformers comics, their invasion, the Decepticons have this invasion plan. It's 6 steps, and there's like 3 or 4 super powerful, like world-ending Transformers, and they're called Phase 6ers. When you are done with a planet, you send one of them in. She talks about Elektra like she's a Phase 6er.
Yeah, sure.
Like she is going to change the face of the planet.
Well, we have a lot of those in these sorts of stories, right?
Why? Yeah, but she's just a chick with swords.
Yeah, sure.
I don't understand why. I also don't understand why once Elektra becomes Elektra again, she doesn't go back to using the size. Because we kept like having her look at the size. And like this thing of like, well, I don't use swords, I use those, but she never went back to those. I think she has one in her hand at one point, but she's still using a sword.
And there's thematic and character stuff that we could have paralleled and tried to make this a more interesting idea with the idea of her as the weapon that they can control, and Iron Fist is the key that they can control.
Well, and there's also
like this being thrust into destiny idea. Do you still have a choice? And I just feel like that stuff is played lip service, and we have a lot of sappy dialogue at the end, toward the end, that where it feels like it's supposed to mean something, but at the end of the day, it's kind of just obligatory, like posturing and stuff.
Yeah, and with what Elektra's going through, wouldn't it be interesting to have her have a conversation with Jessica Jones?
Yeah,
like we have this real view of her as like no one else gets to deal with Elektra because she's Daredevil's. So whenever there's a fight, they're going to go off and fight each other. Whenever they're talking, it's going to be Matt talking to her.
Well, I mean, obviously she has that thing with Iron Fist at the end, and
yeah.
we could have made that more interesting. But don't you feel like overall, it's weirdly plot driven?
Oh, it's super plot driven, and it's and like a lot of plot driven things, I don't think the plot makes any sense.
Yeah, and we'll delve into those details. So, when I finished watching this show, my main takeaway was I was really surprised that their condensed 8-episode season, which I was so happy for them, to say, okay, we have a story that we only need 8 episodes to tell, so we're not going to stretch it to 13. They have a story that only took 4 episodes to tell, and they stretched it to 8.
Yeah, I agree. I agree
feels,
completely.
It feels more stretched than anything they've done save Iron Fist. And I was really surprised by that. We have flashbacks that aren't necessary.
Every flashback was unnecessary. We have one that opens an episode that's like 15 minutes long before we cut to
It's not that long, but it sure feels like it.
I don't know. We checked the timestamp like 2 or 3 minutes later, and we were like 18 minutes into the episode. It was long, and
you're talking about the flashback
one.
With her being brought back.
Yeah. And
by Alexandra.
And then the credits hit, the opening credits hit, and we just looked at each other and we were just like, and that told us
That's
what?
Yeah.
Like, okay, she was brought back from the dead. That's a fine opening stinger. We know she's a killer.
Yeah.
We know that she's awesome.
Yeah. So one of the main, if not the main, cardinal rules of storytelling, I mean, if you get nothing else right, make sure you get this right, is never put in any details that don't reveal something. Mm-hmm. And you have the luxury, much more so, in a thing you're making for streaming, to go back and edit stuff out that you don't need. Mm-hmm. You know? And this really feels like it's kind of made episode to episode.
No, it really... This of all of the Netflix shows, bar maybe Iron Fist, but even then I'm not sure, this feels the most like it was made for television, where like, we make an episode and then we make another episode. This didn't feel like the novel storytelling that they've been doing.
No, it didn't feel like a culmination. And when I got to the end, I felt like there were things that didn't match from the beginning, especially with the tremors.
Like watching a show on television, yeah.
Yeah. So when you say that it would have made for a fine teaser if it was just a couple minutes long, what that could have revealed was how Alexandra feels about her, and then we move on. But instead, it felt like we had to dramatize this whole event for really no good reason. I didn't need to see that happen. I don't know what I learned from it. Mm-hmm. And that bit in Matt's apartment with her opening the chest is kind of the same way.
I think the Matt flashback was supposed to remind the audience that she was in Matt's apartment, because Matt never goes home.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can get from that, is that was, like, they were worried that people wouldn't get... And I didn't
But you could have done the Flash thing.
Yeah.
I don't mean the TV show. I mean, you could, and I don't always like this, but like, if we had to do it, we could at least done that sheet where we just like flashed to her in there from before briefly, and done that a couple times.
Like
instead of having to, yeah, and again, we see this all the time and stuff, but but like
she touches something and we get like a 4-second clip of her doing
I don't know
in
why
that
we
part
needed
of the
a whole
apartment.
3 or 4 minute flashback with their conversation on the couch, like.
You and I can't remember about the stick one, if that was information we had prior, but I'm pretty sure it is. If it's not, that's fine.
And we don't have to go to every one of them. It's just overall, I felt like this is simply an example of things being padded out. I mean, I thought that there were...
This felt really padded.
I thought there were plenty of scenes, even in present day, that were longer than they needed to be, or kind of unnecessary. And I feel like we're starting, and we're sounding really down on this. There are things about this I liked.
Yeah,
and Eric kind of jumped us off with negative stuff because I said, how did you feel about it? Well, overall,
you said my general impression, yeah.
Yeah, and so that's why we've got just...
I really like the middle.
Just in case people are wondering, that's why we're talking about a lot of negative things right now. But I mean, like, overall, I did think it was a pretty lackluster experience. But anyway, so do you feel like we are, and I really hope we're careful with this moving forward, like we're leaning too much on tone as a crutch to make things feel really serious and important regardless of whatever is happening on screen. I feel like we're getting to a place, and we did this real hard in Iron Fist, and then sadly this show does continue that, though it's much better than Iron Fist. It's much more watchable as an
Absolutely.
show. I didn't hate everybody. I have positive things to say. I had almost nothing positive to say about Iron Fist. But my worry is that we've got a concept over execution thing here where we're saying, these shows are serious and brooding and kind of and sometimes kind of relentless. They take their time. Scenes are supposed to be long. We're supposed to sit on a scene with a camera on somebody staring at something for a long time. That's how these shows work. That's fine. The problem is, I have to always be invested in what's going on when you do that. It's not good because it's slow. And I feel like we're starting to maybe use that as a crutch, where it's like where they expect us to be sucked into it because, well, it's serious and it's slow. And I feel like we've gotten to that place a little bit. It's not always like that, but I just hope moving forward we don't do too much.
No, and especially
man, Luke Cage. You look at the first 3 episodes of that show, and you look at how technically little is done. Plenty is done. But what I mean is, you had that first scene in the barbershop that's like 10 or 15 minutes long, and it's just an unbroken conversation that goes on forever. And boy, am I so invested. And I'm not like waiting for it, I snap my fingers trying to get to the next place. But I had that a lot watching Defenders, and I had that a lot more watching Iron Fist.
Well, one of the big mistakes I think they make, especially with the tone the show seems to land on...
I don't think it ever lands on one.
Right, but what they kind of end up... Once they all get together...
Because that's the most fascinating thing about the show. Let me put a pin in this real quick, is that it is 4 TV shows simultaneously. That's how they went at it.
But once they're all together...
Yeah.
And it's this more fun thing, and it's a lot more jokey than any of these shows have been, and all of that... part of the problem with the way I think it's paced is... It's way cooler if the first episode is 4 shows that converge, and then the rest of the show is the show that you're watching.
Yeah.
That would have been great. They don't all get together till the end of episode 3. What are you doing? What are you doing?
And it still feels padded after that.
Yeah, and I really liked...
And the way they get together is fine.
Yeah.
I have no problem with the disparate, or the seemingly disparate elements of each of these things that they're investigating, or one of them gets thrown into, that lead them all together. I thought that was actually pretty logical.
I agree, and I really like that first episode where it really feels like you're watching 4 shows. 3 really good shows, 1 really bad show.
But we did it too long, and then once they all get together, I still kind of felt that way. I still felt like they didn't land on a tone for this group. Like when you read an Avengers comic, it doesn't feel like Iron Man and Captain America and Vision and whoever.
And same thing with the movies.
Even when they're all together, and Avengers, that movie has from the very beginning its own feel, and I don't think this does. Now you could make the argument, well, it's all Hell's Kitchen. It's all New York. It's all gritty urban New York. It's all that area. So to some degree, it's going to have a particular feel. But may I suggest that Jessica Jones doesn't feel like Luke Cage, and Luke Cage doesn't feel like Daredevil.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And I'm with you. I really enjoyed initially that when they did the Daredevil stuff, it felt credibly like we were watching that show. When they did the Jessica Jones stuff, it felt credibly...
It felt like flipping channels.
And that was kind of fun. And it felt... Yeah, we even said that when we watched it.
Yeah.
And it felt like...
Oh, no, Iron Fist, so I can go back to one of the other 3 shows.
Yeah, and it felt... Yeah. And that was hilarious. But I actually sort of liked that. Just because it's consistent, but then I didn't need Iron Fist to be consistent. I would have been fine with a complete ground-up overhaul. And I think we kind of expected him to come in and them to kind of just sweep under the rug. Yeah, he used to be really ultra self-serious, but we're gonna backtrack. Like, there was no damage control with him at all.
There was no damage.
And I was really surprised by that. Did you think he would stay as super ultra serious?
No.
I thought they would back off on that.
No, and they do the exact same thing that Iron Fist did.
But again, credible. When it's his show, I do not care.
Yeah, just like Iron Fist. No, and they do the exact same thing that show did, where we have token moments where it's like, look how chill he is.
Yeah.
And then like when he's hanging out with Luke in the Chinese restaurant, and he's leaning back in his chair and he's eating food. That's Danny Rand.
Yeah.
And then immediately someone's like, well, your hair looks kind of dumb, and he's like, what do you mean my hair looks dumb? Pissed. He's a rage monster that will be set off by the tiniest thing,
and again,
but we pretend that he's chill in the moments where we're pretending he's chill.
And again, it's not bad because it's not what the comics did. It's bad because they're telling us it's something other than it is, and they're still doing that.
Yep.
Now, to be fair, we kept talking all the way through it about how, well, at least in this show, everybody knows he's dumb.
Yeah.
But I still am not buying the whole Chi thing. I don't see how he's in touch with that. I don't understand why it was so hard for him to, charge up his fist
because he's doing it all over the place here.
But then here and that's a point you brought up while we were watching it, and I wondered that too, where I was like, okay, but why is it so easy? And like I thought he had to get himself into a particular emotional place. It seemed like he had to like fight for a while in Iron Fist before he could get it to work. Here he does it sitting in a chair.
Yeah.
Here he does it in the penultimate scene in the final episode, just sitting on a rooftop with nobody around. I didn't know he was able to do that. Now maybe he's gotten better at it, but
how?
Because isn't it all tied to his to his emotions? And I don't feel like he has those in check. And I mean, he's got that preposterous line toward the end. Preposterous if his power set is all based on chi, right? Is all based on inner peace and all that. Like every time he's meditating, we're like, what is he doing? Like I don't buy this kid.
This guy flies off the handle at the slightest thing. He's not.
But he's got that.
What is he doing while he's meditating? Because he's not like clearing his mind. He's not doing what you do when you meditate.
No, it seems like he's just getting angrier.
Yeah,
you know,
he's just soaking.
Yeah, it's angry meditation. You know, but he's got that line toward the end where he's
when I
like,
sulk, I do Indian style, cross my legs.
Second last episode of I forget. He's got there's a line where he's like I'm all out of patience. Like, you never had patience. I've never seen you as a patient guy. Except
that line was the worst.
Yeah,
because someone's like, have patience. He's like, I'm all out of patience. There was some. So really
anyway, we're jumping all over the place. But I still don't understand him. I feel like they were stuck with a real dud in the first place.
Well, and part of the problem, and this is my theory, and this is my hope moving forward. Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, and Daredevil. All of those showrunners, they're good at the grounded crime stuff.
Yeah.
Not so good at the superhero high concept stuff. Daredevil starts faltering in season 2 when we get to the ninjas. Iron Fist sucks. Luke Cage kind of goes off the rails when we get into the super tech and we have to have a super villain and all of that. These people need to stop thinking of these shows as superhero shows and just do what they're doing, because they're really good at that.
I think you're right to a point.
Iron Fist is the epitome of that.
I think that they can bring that stuff in if they keep it character driven and grounded and allow the characters to continue to drive the stories and not say, well, because we have a big like super powered type threat, it has to now be more plot driven.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really the problem, because my issue, the issue I take with your saying they're not good at ninjas, is one of the coolest things in that first season is that fight with the guy with the chains, right?
But that's not a part of the overall narrative. It's mysterious. It's in the background. They're not actually writing about that. They just have a really cool fight scene.
Yeah, but
when we got to the ninja stuff, they don't know how to do that as well as they do the crime stuff.
No, they don't seem to. But I think it's because they're scared of comic book stuff. I really think that, or of the more over the top comic book stuff. Because when they were using that within the character and thematic stuff in that first season, I don't mean to say that everything's about theme. I do think everything's about character. And when they're using that to have Daredevil, to have Matt ask questions and to deal with Styx, ends justifies the means mentality versus Matt trying to do the right thing, and like the ninja stuff worked really well. Yeah, it's in the background. They haven't decided what exactly that's about yet, but it became a problem when the whole story was about the mythology of that. And yeah, the mythology could be really interesting, but there's no reason you couldn't keep the hand mostly in the background. They could stay kind of mysterious.
And that's what they should have done until Defenders, if they were going to be the threat of Defenders.
Yeah.
We've seen the hand too much for them to be the threat of the show. It should have been something new and different. We spent too much time with that.
And I think the biggest problem with the hand is that they are now rooted in a mythology that these people were not, or that the people that at least made Iron Fist weren't sure about, didn't know how to handle, were again kind of scared of, and it's really convoluted in that show. And for the sake of consistency, which I sympathize with, but I mean, I'd rather to have a good story and a little bit of retconning than total consistency and me having no idea what I'm looking at. The problem with the hand is that it's rooted in the Iron Fist mythology, and this ultimately ends up being an Iron Fist show with everybody else in it. And it's true that with the Elektra stuff, it also feels like a Daredevil show, but the hand is all about Iron Fist now. And so it feels like even he is an Iron Fist show.
Well, and
which wouldn't be a problem if that's not where all the convoluted nonsense was.
And there's all this stuff that that now feels... They didn't know what they were going to do with Iron Fist when they did Daredevil Season 1 and 2. It's real weird when Stick shows up and he's like, oh, the Iron Fist is running around?
Yeah.
Let's get him. Like, and then he's like, well, I tried to build you because I didn't have an Iron Fist. And I'm like, I feel like this would have come up before.
Yeah. Once again, let's put a pin in that, and we'll really dive into and rip apart that mythology in a minute. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the stuff that works first,
all right.
And then we'll get into that. What did you like?
Matt and Jessica. Matt and Jessica is the best thing in the show. Now, I will say, as much as I love Jessica, and I love Jessica, when we get into the back third of this show, she becomes a caricature.
We can talk about that later.
Okay.
I want to talk about positive things
positive
first.
things. But when Matt and Jessica are together, specifically in the beginning and in the middle, every time they're together, it's great.
Yeah.
Luke is mostly good and consistent.
Sadly, it's not with Iron Fist as much. Although when Iron Fist is cool, Luke Cage is bringing that out. The few times I'm liking him, it's with Luke Cage.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
I'll give them that.
That's true.
Man, I think the scene where they first get into the restaurant, and all the banter at that opening as they're really getting to know each other and trying to decide what they're going to do moving forward, I loved everything about that scene.
Yeah, no,
I was almost clapping when that scene was over.
Restaurant
it's the
episode
show I thought I was walking into.
The restaurant episode is probably the best episode of the entire show.
It's really fun. I like that they stay there the whole time. I think that's almost a joke that they just will not leave this restaurant.
That stuff's all great. This is redundant.
Jessica leaving and then driving the car into it at the end is fun.
Yeah. This is redundant, but I love Stick.
Yeah.
Stick's amazing. He was amazing in Daredevil Season 1 and 2.
And again, we did a great job of consistently writing that character.
He does the most badass thing I maybe have ever seen.
When he cuts his own hand off?
Well, second most bad. The most badass scene I've ever seen is Solomon Kane pulling himself off of a crucifix. Just their sheer force of will. But cutting your hand off to get out of handcuffs, close second. It is real easy though. He's just like, and it's off. But he doesn't make a noise. He doesn't react. He's amazing. I love Stick so much. I like the Jessica and Luke stuff when we get it.
Yeah.
Which is actually in the show less than I would think it would be. They don't get paired up that often. We keep kind of like pairing them up, but Jessica and Luke generally aren't alone together.
Yeah.
But I like where they are, especially where we leave them. I like pretty much all what we do with all the side characters. I
don't feel like we do quite enough with some.
We kind of forget them by the third act.
Yeah.
But and then we put them all together in a room. But
I like Foggy.
Foggy's great. I think that Karen Page in this is maybe the best depiction I've seen on film of the girlfriend that's worried about the superhero being a superhero.
Yeah.
It's the most believable, it's the most sympathetic I think I've ever seen.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean maybe a lot of it's the actress and she's just a really good actress.
I like that. I'm kind of excited that going into season 3 for Daredevil, they've already kind of patched some of that up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy with that. I mean, it's still going to be a problem because he'll put that suit back on, and she and Foggy will both be like, "Well, you said this was the last time." But I like that they're both sensible enough, and especially Foggy. I like that it's Foggy who gets him back into the costume.
Mm-hmm.
I like that choice a lot.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Because he's sensible and he realizes that this is the only way. That that the city's going to be okay, and you have a responsibility, and you have to do this stuff. It's not just because you want to put on a suit and go hit people.
Mm-hmm. No, it's because the city needs you.
Yeah. I don't want to just talk about superficial things because there's not superficial things that are good or fine. But I'm saying that to set up what I'm about to say, which is I like Elektra's suit.
I also like Elektra's suit. I agree.
That's a superficial thing I wanted to mention. Talking about like production design and stuff. Whatever I think about what exactly is going on at the end, the set with the dragon skeleton's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, and it is really impressive that for the first 2 episodes, when we were cutting back between the 4 shows, it looks like those 4 shows. Like Daredevil looks. When we're in Daredevil scenes, it looks like Daredevil. When we're in Luke Cage scenes, it looks like Luke Cage. That's really impressive.
Yeah.
that you're able to kind of perfectly.
It was so jarring to me because I felt like, and not entirely in a bad way, but it went on too long. I felt like I was watching 4 totally different shows written by different people. Like I felt like they got the writers from those shows in to write those scenes specifically. Jessica's so spot on.
Yeah, absolutely.
She's wonderfully snarky and sarcastic. I liked seeing her have to deal with something right after Kilgrave because she doesn't know what to do with herself now, and I think we've got her in kind of. I want to say we've got her in an interesting place before we go to her next show. I guess she's sort of in the same place.
Yeah, because they did the. Is it? Yeah. There's a Iron Man 2 to Avengers where like Tony's not going to be part of the Avengers, but then when you get to is it that? No, there's something where we leave it where like we got to the end of the movie and it was like okay, well we assumed that that's where they were, and then when you get to Avengers, it's like, oh, I guess now they're in that place. You assume at the end of Jessica Jones, which is getting all those phone calls, she's open for business and she's gonna have all these cases, and then we get here, it's like, oh, she's not open and she hasn't been taking any of those phone calls, and then at the end of this show, she opens her she opens her office for business. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I like that. I know where I stand with some of these people into their next seasons because Jessica Jones, or not where I stand with them as characters, but just what the status quo is. Because I thought Jessica Jones was going to be like Luke Cage, where everybody knew what she did, and was surprised to find that that's not the case. But and I think it might have been more interesting, honestly, if both of them were like you know, central public figures now, and she had to deal with that. I really want to see us get her to that place where it's the public, not just the people she knows that's trying to get her in a costume, and not a hoagie sandwich costume.
Trying to think of other things because
once again, Sigourney Weaver's wonderful, and
yes,
and like I think,
and so is that Japanese guy who gets a little bit of screen time.
A lot of those scenes where she is, you know, kind of reveling in old things are visually really interesting, and I'm reading more into them than they ultimately culminate into. They did a good job of making me really interested in what her whole deal was, and then I just didn't think she had enough of a deal.
Well, it was kind of a bummer.
But she's captivating.
Because the first, like, 2 episodes, I think it is, we're like, okay, so she's immortal, what is she? And then it's like, oh, she's part of the Hand.
Yeah.
Oh, so she just keeps coming back. We thought it was something new, something different, and she...
You did. I honestly thought this was going to be a hand show all along.
Okay. Well,
You said that before we watched it. I was always kind of not sure if you were right about that.
Because the thing I've never gotten from Gao, and I didn't know I was supposed to get until this, is that Gao's, like, thousands of years old.
Yeah.
She doesn't feel like someone that's lived for thousands of years, and
I think that might have come up in Iron Fist. We got to be careful about some of that stuff because I was so not invested in that show that there's probably all kinds of things that were said that I don't remember. Like I don't want to say, well, we didn't know that until now.
But Bakudo certainly doesn't seem like a guy that's thousands of years old. I mean, the Japanese guy was super cool, but I don't know if Sigourney Weaver legitimately felt like someone that could have been alive for
all that time.
Yeah, in her performance. As she goes on later with some of the things she's saying, I don't
so much better than the script. I mean, she's really elevating that material.
The other good things. It's mostly chemistry. Like that's exactly. The big takeaway is these actors with a better script can work really well together. Because one of the things that we did say while we were watching it was, okay, every time I cut to Iron Fist, it feels like Iron Fist, which is boring and I don't care. And that he's not as good as the rest of them as an actor. He's not as good as the
second he's with them.
The second he's with them, his performance gets elevated, and he's much better.
Yeah.
And when they let him have fun,
no, I don't think he's a bad actor now. I'm or at least I'm not sure. Like he has to really come up to Coulter and those guys.
And he plays off them well especially when they're having fun. But a little bit less so when they have to like argue because he's never in the right. And most of the time I think they know that, but sometimes I'm not sure they do.
Yeah.
This show mostly knows how dumb he is.
Yeah, it almost feels like they have to write him as unsympathetic because of what we were given before, which I don't think they had to do personally. I think they could have. I think they could have used this to fix some of that. But how do you feel about? And we'll get to the mythology here in a second. How do you feel about characters who are refusing to believe in some of the supernatural and occult stuff? Because personally, I think I think with some of them they take that too far. Like with I guess it's just two, right? Luke Cage, I think, is maybe a little bit too late to the table on that. But for whatever reason, it's always funny when Jessica just refuses to believe any of this is actually happening, or when and I think toward the middle, like now she's sort of accepted it, but she's just like doesn't want anything to do with it, and it's kind of funny.
Okay, so all right. So with Luke Cage, I got a big problem with what they do with Luke Cage and the Kung Fu mystical stuff.
Right.
We make a big point that Luke Cage watches Kung Fu movies and knows Kung Fu movies. And he has to have Chi explained to him, and there's something else that's brought up where he's like, what is that? I'm like, you watch these movies, you know what this is about. I feel like he should really easily be like, yeah, okay. Like, that's not too far away from what I already thought was...
Well... It might be hard for him to believe that something because I mean, let's be careful. Let's not say just because somebody's really into a fictional thing means that when it turns out to be real, they can more easily accept it. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I like Star Wars, but if I suddenly found out the Force was a thing, I wouldn't, because I was playing with Star Wars, be more ready for that information.
But would you, if aliens had shown up and blown up New York City?
No, these are totally different things.
Okay.
We've had this argument before. You cannot equate a physical possibility with a physical impossible, or what we assume is an impossibility. Magic and aliens are so far off in opposite spectrums.
Okay.
Aliens are possible. Even if people don't think that they're likely or that there is any other life in the universe, I don't think most people would be freaked out by aliens in the same way they would interdimensional portals or finding out that, like, the devil is real and can mess with your mind, whatever it is. You see what I'm saying?
But he sees all... Like, it's not just he's told it. He watches that fist glow. He fights ninjas, and he's still like, come on, ninjas?
Yeah. I mean, no, my problem with it is that he needs, like you said, stuff explained to him, and that it takes him as long as it does to accept the realities of those things, and that, like, he would understand the concepts, because you said he was into those movies. But I don't know. Ninjas, I don't think is that hard to get your mind around in a world where some of this other crazy stuff exists, but magic is.
Yeah, but I don't know.
The fist
Thor
would be hard.
exists,
but I buy.
And Norse god exists.
Yeah, no, you're right.
And I know that we know that it's just advanced science, but nobody else knows that.
No, you're right. And once you say that, it's maybe even harder to accept when he's like a dragon.
Yeah.
You didn't fight a dragon.
Big science dragons attacked New York. There was a big pyramid thing, like, zapping around in Paris, like France, wherever it was.
Well, we don't know if we're to that yet.
I
don't know where we are on the timeline right now.
I think they have thrown their hands up in the air, and
they are pretending like they are still pretending like the incident with the Gentari is the only thing that's happened.
This show, more than any of the other shows, feels like they have thrown their hands up in the air and don't care about the movies. Specifically, because
when you say the show, you mean these shows? Right?
No, I mean this show.
Okay.
I mean this show more so than the other four shows. Has just kind of thrown its hands up in the air.
I think we've been like that for a while now.
Okay.
We mentioned the fact that Luke Cage never brings up Hulk wrecking Harlem.
True.
It's
that's
Harlem.
True. That's true.
Iron Fist doesn't talk about anything but the incident.
The big...
I'm not saying they have to. It's just I would like some kind of a sense right now. And I know we're going to get comments where people are going to explain when exactly it takes place. Like maybe somebody said something somewhere that's not in the shows. But just watching the shows, I don't feel like I'm getting a good sense of when we are exactly.
So to get to Jessica, we're talking about Luke. To get to Jessica and the whole not believing thing.
Yeah.
By the time we get to the third act of this show, I don't feel like they are writing dialogue for Jessica. They are writing insert snarky comment. Because, I'm sorry, the city's about to end, and her reaction is like, whatever, I guess we're doing this. Like, it just felt like she became a caricature, and part of that is her constantly making fun of Matt's costume, which I just don't buy in a world where Captain America and Iron Man and Thor exist.
I do. I don't know what your hang-up is with that. She doesn't like costumes. We've established that. She didn't want to wear one. This has nothing to do with the fact... I don't know we have to talk about this, but this is I don't know. This is a thing where I don't get you. I don't understand your hang-up with this. You think that just because costumes exist in a universe, no one would think they were silly, and you're just wrong about that.
Okay.
And we just started having them. This was a world that didn't have costumes until like 3 years ago.
Okay.
So, like, I don't get
not knowing where this takes place, it could be 10 years ago, but
No,
sure.
no, it couldn't. No, it couldn't. It's still...
It's 10 years since Iron Man.
Right, and it's only 4 years after Iron Man, when we get to the incident. And the incident, and we know we can't be more than a couple of years after the first season of Daredevil. I mean, when you look, like, I can be at least pretty sure, but that's why I say I don't even know if Thor: The Dark World has happened yet. You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't know exactly where we are, but like we're not into Spider-Man: Homecoming. Like,
that's true. Well, and part of it is like this.
There's no way. Like, how long was Luke Cage in jail? You know, like,
I don't know.
But it wasn't 4 years.
But didn't something happen in Iron Fist that we were like, well, there goes the timeline thing? Because don't they say it's like 2016 in Iron Fist?
But forget whatever date they throw out. I just mean relative to when things have happened already in the continuity. But I'm just saying, you're in a world. If we have to talk about this, we'll talk about it. If you're in a world where you've only had costumes for 4, let's say it has been 10. Let's even say it's been 10 years. Okay, fine. But like, she remembers a lot of her lifetime without freaking costumes, and just because you have them, just because there are a few characters that run around wearing them, doesn't make it like a normal everyday thing that a bunch of people are doing.
It's normal enough that when she has superpowers, her friend says she should put on a costume and go fight crime.
Right, and she thinks that's dumb.
Right, but it's normal enough to... I don't know. It just... Like, I don't think she likes the idea of her being in a costume. You want this to be the regular Marvel universe where you have 1,000 superheroes in New York running around in costumes, and you don't have that. It seems like when Daredevil sees...
Also, can't someone have the opinion of dressing up in a costume to fight crime is dumb, even if a bunch of people are doing it? Especially if you are a private detective and you think it would be smarter to be in the shadows and not draw attention to yourself.
And that's fine, but it's that on top of the fact that no matter what happens, all Jessica has is snark. Like, once we get to the end of the show, she stops being a character and she's just making fun of everything, and she becomes the... Strangely, the depressed alcoholic becomes the comic relief of the show.
That's right. But I still think she would be the person of the four of the other three that would be making fun of Daredevil wearing a costume. When she's standing right next to him...
But Luke Cage does too, a little bit. Like, she kind of brings that out of Luke, and I was like, I don't buy that Luke Cage would make fun of him.
It's just silly because he's the only one of the four wearing one.
Yeah. I also don't understand the thematic... When he finally puts the costume on... I don't understand why. Because he's talking to Stick, and Stick's telling him how dumb he is for not being part of this army, and Matt's like, yeah, you're right, and then we see him in a costume. I don't know why he finally puts the costume on. What makes... I don't understand, character or thematically, why that is the moment that we get the costume on.
I feel that way about a lot of stuff in this show.
Yeah.
I also thought we saw him with it a little bit earlier. Doesn't he put it on?
He puts it on in the first episode to go fight the mugger, right?
Or is it like the second episode or something?
Oh, it's the beginning of the second episode because the earthquake happens at the end of the first.
Yeah. So I wasn't even thinking about it as a thematic thing. I mean, I was thinking about it more just,
Well, like, he'd been running around with a scarf on his head for like...
Well, yeah.
For like 4 episodes.
But that's because he didn't have time to go back to his apartment. Like, I just...
But when he puts it on, it felt like it was supposed to be something?
I didn't get that from it at all.
Okay. Because...
I mean, it is in the sense that... But I think it's almost more about Foggy than it is him. You know what I mean? Where it's just like, okay, I'm accepting that you have to be...
No, it's before that. Because that's when they're in prison. He puts it on before that when they're...
Yeah, no, I thought he did, but... Okay, so you're thinking that's supposed to be important?
Yeah, because it's like 3 episodes that he's with these guys.
Yeah.
And he's not wearing costume. And then they're with Stick, and he has a conversation with Stick about how he shouldn't be putting on a costume, how that's not who he should be. He should be... And then he goes and puts on the costume, and I was trying to figure out the thematic relevance of why now? What is it saying?
Yeah, sure.
Why did he go home and get the costume now as a character point? Like, I just didn't get... Because then he shows up and he's got a costume. They're like, oh, you're wearing a costume. I don't know why. Why now? More than any other time. But...
Yeah, I mean, by the end, the whole thing is supposed to be that, you know, he's embracing that and, you know, sacrificing his personal life and then just his life, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Which he's not actually doing, but he thinks he's doing.
Yeah.
But anyway, okay, so let's get into the whole Kunlun mythology, and all that, and the hand mythology and stuff. Okay. So let's begin with the question of what is it that the hand wants, because toward the beginning and really all the way through this, I assumed there was some sort of master plan that had something to do with their ruling and manipulating the world in some way, and by the end it seems to just be about these 5 people wanting to be immortal and living forever. The end. And that's not interesting.
That's not something you fight a war over for centuries.
I feel like I have to be missing something. I don't know what's going on. Toward the beginning, we have the whole Tremor thing. And it seems like...
It's a threat. This is the beginning of what's coming.
Yeah.
We're going to level New York.
They play it like a warning or something. And even toward the end, when you have that line from Gao, I think it is, that, like, you know, New York is going to fall, it still feels like it's deliberate. Like, they want to do that for some reason.
Yeah, but then we're also told that once we take the substance, no idea what it is, could be liquid, could be solid, could be gaseous, don't know.
We're assuming it has something to do with the dragon.
Yeah, it's got to be like... It's got to be like fossil fuels, right? Like, it's got to be like something with the bone, something in that.
Yeah, because like it's an immortal dragon.
Yeah.
But it's weird that they never talk about what exactly it is.
Yeah. So, anyways, the substance is in this cave, and once they remove it, something, it's holding up the fault line of New York City, and part of New York City will fall. That's not deliberate. That's not an attack. That is a casualty of their plan. Of what they want.
Yeah.
That is not the same thing as... They keep talking... We kept making jokes. They keep talking like it's League of Shadows. Like it's a culling, like it's... But it's not. They just want to live forever. This is where the stuff where they live forever is, and if they remove that stuff, New York City will fall into the ground. That's a bummer.
And I don't know why these 5 people specifically get to be the people that live forever. I don't know. I guess it's still a finite substance, so they're not going to have enough of it for everybody. I don't get why the hand soldiers are like giving their lives for, I don't know what cause they think. It becomes that Bane Dark Knight Rises thing where it's like, I don't know why your followers are following you. I don't know what they think they're getting, what they think either they're getting out of this or they're putting their lives on the line for. What is the belief system? Why, like, it feels like there's got to be some kind of belief system.
They keep, and Elektra and Sigourney Weaver keep saying life before everything or something like that. They have like a mantra.
Yeah.
I don't understand what that means. Like, you just want to live forever. That's all you want.
Well, yeah, life itself is what they keep saying.
Yeah.
Or something, I forget.
But the way they say, specifically Sigourney Weaver, when she talks about it, seems like it's like an Xavier dream kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Like I believe in life. Okay.
Ultimately, it seems like you're afraid to die. And
yeah, it just seems like you don't want to die.
I don't know enough about her background. I don't know what led her to this. She's ultimately not that interesting.
And it's also weird because we're told that they're all in Kunlun, and then they go back to their 5 countries of origin. How'd they get to Kunlun in the first place if they didn't originally come from Kunlun? So 5 random people all voyaged to Kunlun separately, and then all together found this substance and decided...
Am I right that don't they also mention that it hasn't always been that same 5 people?
No, I think it's always been them.
No, I feel like there was something about there've been other people and they've had to replace them and stuff, but maybe I'm wrong about that.
Well, they've said that they've killed each other before, but they always get brought back.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah. Because we've all survived assassination attempts from each other.
Yeah.
Also, we're told that they all go back to their country of origin and rule. Bakudo's been in America, Gal's been in America, and Sigourney Weaver, who's apparently the head of the whole operation, has never been mentioned before, never been seen. What are they doing? They're not ruling. I mean, Gal kind of, she's running drugs, but they keep talking about it like it's the League of Shadows, like they have infiltrated every level of society, but they haven't.
Purpose, yeah.
And to what end? Like, at least League of Shadows, they wanted to get rid of that city.
So the big thing I don't get is it doesn't matter how many what kind of resources you have. It doesn't matter how much money you have, and it doesn't matter if you know exactly where the bones are and you're digging down for them. If you don't think Iron Fist, if you have no idea if A, there is even an Iron Fist right now, or B, that he would ever leave Kunlun, you don't have any reason to be starting all the, or start it and just wait around a long time. Like, we've been acting like there's something building this whole time. Where it's like going all the way back to Daredevil, right? That the hand is, like, the war is coming and the hand is building to something massive. And then the linchpin of all of it is Iron Fist,
who wasn't even in America until last year.
Yeah.
And they don't seem to be aware of that until he shows up in their boardroom and they're like, "Oh, hey, the Iron Fist is here."
No, they knew it before that.
Do they?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a mention where it's like the Iron Fist. We have to find him. Like I think they already know he's around because of his show.
Okay.
And it would be dumb if they didn't because
because of Gao.
Yeah.
Okay, of course.
Yeah, obviously
Gao
knows about it. Yeah. So they're just they're gonna try to get him, but like, why don't they go kind of try to kidnap him?
And it doesn't seem to be a high priority until it's a high priority. Like they're like, we're stepping up the process. Okay, well, why don't you get the Iron Fist before you step up the process? Why don't you get the key to the thing you're digging
and
to?
And part of the problem is, I don't buy, because I saw Iron Fist, that he's that much of a threat to them. And so that becomes really problematic. Like, they need to get him to open up a thing, but Alexandra's whole, and we have to talk about this, her whole plan hinges on, like we were talking about earlier, this weapon that doesn't seem to be nearly as special as she's acting like it is, the black sky thing. She uses the last of the material. Now to be fair, you said we don't know what the substance is. We saw her use it.
Oh,
it is liquid. Yeah.
It looks all bloody.
Because it is the same substance as what they're going after, I think.
Okay.
It's just a bigger deposit, right? Am I right about that?
Yeah, so it is liquid. It is just a Lazarus pit.
But anyway, so she was gonna, but like, in a convenient vial.
Yeah.
You could use an inhaler if you wanted to. But anyway, so you put it in a syringe. But she thinks that all she has to do is resurrect this living weapon that has been, like, for whatever reason, destined to help them, the 5 of them, be immortal, I guess. And in order to kidnap Iron Fist? Stop their enemies from stopping them from getting, like, I don't fully understand the logic of what brings you to that.
And Elektra's skill is like this through the entire show. Sometimes,
just like Iron Fist.
Sometimes her and Matt can fight to a standstill, and sometimes she can take out all 4 of them and stick. Just because the plot needs her to, in that moment, be that much better than that.
I don't know about that. She shows up after they're
Luke's all messed up with the...
No, everybody in that scene is. I mean, like...
Are they? That's not... No. Luke is incapacitated.
Oh, that's true.
And then she stops Stick from killing the Iron Fist.
Yeah,
and then,
that's right.
Because one of the things that this show does a lot
We've only watched this through the one time.
One of the things that this show does a lot is people showing up out of nowhere at exactly the right time. There's a lot of people fighting and about to lose, and then all of a sudden Luke Cage is there, all of a sudden Daredevil's there. But like just that scene where Stick waits, let's say 2 hours, him, Luke Cage, and Danny are alone in the room for 2 hours. At an hour and 57 minutes, he decides now's the time to kill the Iron Fist. He knocks Luke Cage out, just so we can say that enough time has passed that Jessica and Matt would be back by then to stop him. Mm-hmm. That's all over the show. Of just like really conveniently timed things. And then Elektra shows up and beats all of them. I'll give her Luke because he was incapacitated by that mist or whatever. But Stick, Jessica, and Daredevil all at once. And then sometimes she's not that strong.
And I am okay with Elektra being the person to kill Stick.
Yeah, sure.
I like that. Okay, especially because she's not under any kind of duress or brainwashed at that, or washing at that point. Like she has decided that she is Elektra and this is what she's going to do. Mm-hmm. And I guess that's okay. Like whether you like that story, you like her. We're kind of stuck with a really out there, crazed, whacked out, impulsive, do whatever she thinks of in the moment Elektra from Daredevil season 2. I don't think you can say she's inconsistent in this show.
No.
She is the character they gave us.
I mean, it's a little weird that Matt just keeps being like, remember who you are, and we're like, the crazy serial killer, like sociopath, like assassin person? Remember who you are?
You're better than this. Is she really? Okay. I mean, I guess she's...
You kill for yourself and no one else.
Yeah, exactly. That's what he should say. And, I was ready for him to do that let's run off together for no reason thing again, like we had in season 2, which he pretends to do at the end, but then it's actually a sacrifice play, and I sort of like that. That's okay, because it feels like he's kind of maybe learned something, but it's weird that it's that hard for him to learn it. Like, I just feel like there's some miscommunication. I feel like the idea is supposed to be that he's completely blind, see what I did there, when it comes to Elektra.
Well, that's
comic book too.
A reoccurring character trope is Matt Murdock is completely blind when it comes to women.
Women in general, yeah.
He's real dumb when it comes to girls.
But they take that too far because this is the reason that he had such a problem with the Punisher, of course. And I feel like we've lost sight of his morality in this show.
Because we get to the building and we say we're going to blow it up, and he's like, yeah, that's cool.
He's totally cool with it. And he's the one that kind of like convinces some of them to do it. And he's gotten to a I won't kill at any cost place. I mean, I guess it's refreshing.
Does it not count because they're ninjas?
But I have a problem with that. I mean, like,
they could come back.
Yeah, but that's what it really feels like. Is like, well, and they make a big point of the collateral damage thing, right? It was like, there's no one else in this building except for and what's funny about it is the way they talk about it. Luke, or whoever who says it, but they talk about it like there's nobody else in that building except for the fingers of the hand. They just discount all the ninjas, or maybe they don't know there's ninjas that far down. Maybe that's what it is.
Maybe. But they're totally fine with blowing up the whole building when they go downstairs and see like a million.
Yeah, they
ninjas.
still don't have a problem with it. Yeah. Which is why I really wish the new Tick show was just parroting this. Because it's already parroting Daredevil a little bit. Wouldn't it be great? Because that drops this weekend. And wouldn't it be great if that show was just doing this show?
Yeah, that would be great.
Wish that's what we were doing. But they had no idea when they made it that Defenders was going to drop, the same weekend. Yeah. Well, maybe at the point that they started filming it, but they would have already had the scripts written. Yeah. That's neither here nor there. That's about the Tick. We'll talk about that next week. Anyways, but yeah, I don't like that he is so cool with killing people after that's what season 2. Well, it's a little refreshing that one of these shows doesn't have to just be about the should superheroes kill question, but it is his morality.
One of the things that's really annoying, given the tone of the first 3 shows of Daredevil, Jessica, and Luke Cage, and then the tone of kind of the beginning of this is very serious, very grounded. I'm not going to use the word realistic, but it's grounded.
Yeah.
It's set in something resembling the real world. When we get to the end of this, we are in action movie land.
Yeah.
Because we set ourselves up in a no-win situation with the cops.
Complete with a standard ticking time bomb. I mean, it is action movie.
Yeah. All of a sudden, it's totally cool to kill everybody, because we're at the climax of an action movie. And the cops, who believe nothing that they've been told, and also haven't been told very much, they just know these 4 people went into a building with bombs.
Yeah.
And then they blow the building up. Cut to, no charges are being pressed. Like it never happened.
I was going to ask you about that. Do they know for sure who it was that brought in the bombs?
They watched the 4 of them walk out. And they know that someone had to steal that from evidence. No.
Yeah, no, they know somebody. I mean, Misty's taking is like covering for them, so that's why I wasn't sure what the cops knew.
But the second the cops show up, like, that guy tells Misty, you're probably not going to have a job soon.
Yeah.
We crank up the drama of, like, the cops are coming. Like, this is a real, like, the cops are following you, which is a casualty of playing something like this. Like, if we never involved the cops or involved them very literally, you wouldn't think about it. But because the cops show up at the scene...
Especially because you have Misty there?
Yeah. But you build it to such a point, and then your payoff is... Well, they're pretending it never happened. Why? The cops don't know about the ninjas. They're not going to believe in the ninjas. All they saw was these 4 people blow up a building.
I just think the bomb idea was a big mistake in the first place. Especially because we don't afterwards really talk about it as whether or not it was wrong or a mistake or anything. It was just the whole. There's not enough of an ideological question between what these 4 people stand for and then them in the hand anyway. That's one of my big issues with the show. There's not enough there for me to sink my teeth into and really talk about idea wise. And if it's going to be as serious as it is and at least faux character driven, I want it to be because. Not everything has to be as... I'm not expecting everything to live up to Daredevil Season 1, but I mean, like, Jessica Jones, I had plenty of things to think about.
First half of Luke Cage.
And just these character arcs, most of them aren't present in the way they're kind of acting like they are, especially with all the kind of sappy, dialogue at the end. But anyway, I just feel like the bomb was a big mistake. Like Colleen Wing, that's kind of all she ultimately ends up being there for, is just to say, let's bomb it.
Yeah, and it's weird because I brought this up while we were watching it. She's a martial artist. She fights with a sword. Why isn't she with them?
Yeah.
And then, right before the end, she makes that point and then shows up with bombs.
Yeah,
I was like, why were you here before? You're just as capable as elite. Well, maybe not as capable as Matt, but you're up there.
Yeah. Well, and what I was going to say about the ideological question, because I just remember where I was going with that. No, you're fine. Is the Stick's whole thing is ends justifies the means. So he thinks it's necessary to kill the Iron Fist, even though obviously in a perfect world he wouldn't do that, because they need him to open up the thing and get what they're after. So he's got to kill him. When you have that there, and then your protagonists end up saving the day by saying, well, it's not great to kill people, but let's blow up this building. I just don't feel like. And there are situations where you can make me buy a superhero has to kill someone, but to do something that looks like domestic terrorism, did they have to go that far? Was there something else? Because
there's no consequences.
Here's the problem. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The problem with it is it doesn't feel as necessary as they're acting like it is, especially because the question is raised, well, do we know that would end the hand? No, we don't. Let's do it anyway. I don't know about that. Why don't we? Wouldn't the right thing to do? And wouldn't you think that these four people would come to the conclusion that the right, I don't mind throwing Colleen Wing under the bus. I don't understand her. I don't like her. Past the middle of Iron Fist. So I'm sort of okay with her going, let's just blow it up, and then the four of our characters go, no, we should be better than that.
She was basically raised as a domestic terrorist in a cult.
Yeah, but
that tracks.
But anyway, you've got Iron Fist, who's supposed to be the most altruistic person in the world. He's not. We talked about him like that in Iron Fist. He's not. And Luke Cage is Superman. And he's going along with this ultimately.
And so is Claire.
Not knowing.
Who I don't know why she was there.
Wouldn't these four people come to the conclusion that the right thing to do would be to go down and stop what is happening right now, and then live with the consequences of that and deal with whatever comes, come what may? Why don't we have a conversation about whether or not it's okay to kill them because, well, they've gotten all these lifetimes anyway? Why doesn't that? I'm not saying that would be right, but that's an interesting discussion to have. Why doesn't that come up? It bothers me.
Well, it's because once we get to the end of this,
they really lost me with the let's just blow up the building thing.
We are in a completely different universe than the rest of these shows are in.
Yeah.
It's very. I mean, I couldn't believe that they put the cops there, said, there's no way you're getting away with this, and then we cut and it's just. Everyone's going to pretend this didn't happen. Why? No one knows. We're in a different level of reality by the end of the show. No one's thinking. We'll blow up the building. Well, whatever. It doesn't.
And it doesn't
none of
feel
it
like
matters.
the story's really thinking.
It's
either.
the climax.
Yeah, right.
This is what you do in a climax. And I can buy this kind of ending a little bit better in something that's a little bit dumber or a little bit more fast and loose with reality. This show starts in a real grounded place like the other shows were.
Yeah.
If this was a whole show of more heightened reality, which I know we're kind of out of time, but I'm going to use that to jump into the choreography.
I was going to say, somehow or rather, we've already passed an hour. I don't know where all that time went.
I'm going to use that to jump into the choreography, which continues to be grounded and shouldn't be. Because, this is better than Iron Fist. But we have a real distinct...
Yeah, and now that you said that, really quick, can I make this point? I think if somehow or rather this was the show we got and we hadn't had Iron Fist yet, we would dislike this a lot more.
I agree. Iron Fist dropped the standards real low. Because the choreography is better than Iron Fist. The writing is better than Iron Fist. Whatever. But... And
I don't want to do that, but it's hard. That's the last thing I saw. And so it's very difficult not to go, well, at least I'm enjoying watching the show, at least some of the time.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm sorry.
So... we have a bunch of ninjas and martial arts and things like that, and we're trying to do these real kind of martial artsy fights where it's a back and forth between two people. But what happens is, because Luke and Jessica, and kind of even Matt at this point, the way that they fight in their show makes complete sense for the way their shows are. They're mostly crime stories, so you just got people punching people. The problem is, we have a bunch of scenes of four people punching other people, and no sense of how the fight is flowing. So when we get Jessica, Luke, and Matt fighting the three members of the Hand, and we're going around and we're showing them fighting, it never looks like there's a flow to that fight.
Yeah,
it just looks like
what you're missing is escalation.
Yeah,
you're not seeing what are the ebbs and flows of this fight.
It looks like people
when are our guys winning? When are their guys winning?
It looks like people are moving their arms until someone gets a blow over on the other person. That's all it is. okay, so that makes the fights boring. The more fights that they throw at me, I'm like, this is supposed to be cool, but it's not, because I have no idea. There's no emotional investment. It's the dance of a fight. We don't have that. This is a fight the way Bendis does fights in Avengers, where it's just like everyone's punching everyone, and you'll see what happens at the end. And that's all.
I imagine some people won't agree with this, and I'm not even going to say that the choreography was terrible in this scene, but there was, comparatively, relatively, there was something about the spinning the camera around the four of them in the cave at the end, in the underground in the end, where it was obvious that they were trying to do their big Avengers kind of money shot thing that didn't work for me.
It didn't work. I agree completely.
Some of it was that music choice, but it was a real bad music choice. I mean, the music's all over the place because they have these four shows and they can't land on anything.
Yeah. I mean, this show has a major identity problem.
That's what I think. And again, it didn't feel like at the beginning. It felt like it was going to culminate into its own identity.
Here are these four tones. Now we're going to show you what this one tone is, but we never get that one tone.
And we break them up too often.
Yeah, and randomly we'll just have scenes where it's like, well, I guess we're doing Luke Cage's music now, and I guess we're doing the more like
and we would do that with Luke
of
Cage when he was with three of the four of them or something.
Yeah, it wasn't like a Luke Cage standalone scene.
No, it was just and now all of a sudden, well, I don't even mean just that. Remember that there's that scene with the elevator where it starts doing the blaxploitation, and it's like, why is that in this particular scene? I don't mind that being in stuff where Luke Cage is really prominent, but he's not the only person doing things right now. I don't understand that.
But yeah, so the choreography is not bad, but I think it's wrong.
I did really like, well, in places I think it's not great. But I did really like the time that toward the end when Jessica finally gets to really show off her strength and be really integral her powers to a scene when she grabs the elevator. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, no, that was great.
Because I had been complaining that we weren't doing enough with her powers.
I think you missed a lot of that. I think a lot of stuff is happening in the background. We just watch her flip and stuff.
Yeah, we did little subtle things, but I wanted it to be really integral. Yeah. I wanted her to have a moment, is what I'm saying. Everybody else had a moment by then.
Yeah.
You got to see Daredevil go off by himself doing Daredevil suit stuff. Oh, you know what? You know what else? Because stuff's coming to me as we're talking about this. The bits I liked. I liked the bit with her running off and finding out that Matt Murdock was Daredevil. I thought that was handled really well.
Yeah, I agree. That was a really good scene. The discovering the thing in the piano, less so.
Yeah.
But the beginning of that scene's really good.
Yeah, but that is so hilarious. It's so funny. I'm sure folks picked up on this. He played his own theme song. I swear to God, he gets on the piano and he plays his own theme song.
But by the time we get to the end of this show, what you want this show to look like is that Daredevil ninja fight in season 1.
Yeah, of course.
That's what the ending of this show should look like. That's what most of this should look like. And
yeah,
it's just a bunch of people going like this. And
it wasn't always that.
It's a lot
that far, but the problem is you have.
Well, I mean,
when you
they're
make
more
a big
acrobatic
deal
than I am. They're moving around.
When you make a big deal out of Elektra, Black Sky, you have to have more heightened choreography. I mean, you're absolutely right. It doesn't feel like, because when you say grounded, except then we get characters that have superpowers, so now it shouldn't look grounded. It should look like they have. I mean, like what that would look like in our world if those people had superpowers. That's all you want. As we're finishing up, we need to talk about the ending.
Okay.
How do you feel about 10-15 minutes of everybody mourning a character that not only do we know has to come back and isn't going to actually be dead, but that we then see alive at the end? I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, some of that wasn't horribly written, although I think a lot of that episode is that Iron Fist thing of a person says something and then someone responds with something that doesn't follow, and there's a little bit of that in that whole
the last 2 episodes
montage, for lack of a better word, but the set of scenes at the end where everybody's kind of mourning Matt. I don't know, like, was it cheap? What was it? Because it's not like they leave us thinking he's dead. It's not that. But then again, neither did Man of Steel. You do have that sense that like he's still alive at the end. So it's, I don't know, but I felt like it was kind of cheap there. Like what is it? Why is it a problem? I feel like it's a problem.
It feels like it's wasting my time.
Yeah.
And because I'm gonna say this, if you watched these other shows, except for Iron Fist and Daredevil, well, okay. So Jessica and Luke, you can skip this show. All you need to know about this
Yeah.
is that Luke got out of prison. That is the only thing you need to know. This doesn't affect Jessica, because as we said, we end at the status quo we thought we were at the end of Jessica Jones anyway.
Pretty much. Now, moving forward with her, some of the stuff that happened in this and characters she met, could he inform her later?
It's true.
We could write that to be important.
We could
in
make
her
it
show.
feel integral, but
right now,
as
it
of
doesn't
right
feel
now,
like
it feels like nothing important happened with them.
No. Jessica and Luke are Donatello and Michelangelo from the first from the first Ninja Turtles movie.
But I also don't think that Danny learned anything. Like, Danny doesn't actually know any more or less about himself and the Iron Fist than he did at the start of the show. For some reason, he's decided New York is his home now.
No, but it's not skippable for him, because now his only reason for existence is gone.
True. That's true.
So it at least matters for him. Like, yeah, like I say, it's a real plot-driven show.
It's true. But it feels like a waste of time. Like, it feels like they want to end on a dramatic note, but I don't care. Partially because I know Daredevil's getting a season 3, and I also really don't like where we leave Matt. But yeah, I don't know. It feels tedious, because you know that he's not dead, and these people knew him for 2 days.
Yeah, but that's okay, because
I
I like the idea that they're only with him for 48 hours, and they build these real strong bonds, and I kind of buy some of that.
Yeah, I don't.
And they go through some major stuff together. I mean, I kind of buy some of that.
I'm not saying I don't buy it, but I'm saying it took too long. Because all I really needed emotionally was the was the Karen Foggy stuff. That stuff was great.
Yeah, it was.
The other stuff, especially Iron Fist, like, whatever. Why did they cut to him on a roof, glowing his hand?
I guess the idea is maybe supposed to be like the example that Matt sets for people, maybe, but
or possibly it's going to be like a death of Matt Murdock, and like season 3 of Daredevil is going to start, and he's only going to be Daredevil.
Maybe they'll do that whole thing.
That's a possibility.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
I really don't like using that shot from Born Again, not doing Born Again, and if this is their Born Again, they really messed it up. That felt unnecessary. It just felt like, well, we need Matt to be somewhere.
The thing I didn't like about it, I want to reserve judgment until we see season 3, because I think you could still do something akin to Born Again opening with that shot. It's not Born Again, but I don't mind doing a kind of loose adaptation where we sort of start in that place, because if you think about it, like, if this is his death and now he has to come back from it, then basically this is his first act of Born Again, but it's not all of it. You know what I mean?
But
like, he still has to come back.
Lose everything, and I don't feel like that's really what this was.
No, it's not.
And that's not what's interesting about Born. Like,
no,
the interesting thing about Born Again
not.
is Kingpin moving pieces and destroying a man.
Yeah, and I mean they could still do that, but then
but this is the part where Matt comes back from that, like,
in
shot.
that story,
yeah.
just that shot.
Yeah.
I'm just saying you could still sort of do it, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure a lot of people are going to think, oh, it's that shot from Born Again, and if they haven't read it in a while, they're probably going to think, look, we're leading to that.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's what a lot of folks
Yeah.
are thinking. My problem with that last shot is that it is, besides the fact that it's just telling us he's not dead, I mean, this won't mean anything to you, but it's weirdly the, like, Archer is still alive, but in World War II at the end of Season 3 Enterprise, and he's also, like, on a stretcher and, like, all messed up and stuff. But anyway, so it's weird that we leave him in that place, but all it really does is tell the audience, look, oh my goodness, he's not dead. The rest of that scene means nothing to you if you don't know comic books. You're not going to know what Maggie is. You're not going to know the like 4 panels they crammed into that one scene.
Yeah. And it's
because they show the nun in silhouette, and like we those of us that know Daredevil, we all know what this is.
And it's like, I love Born Again. It's too early. Like, you don't do a story where you take everything away from man. I mean, this season starts with him.
Are you okay with the homaging, though, if they don't actually do it? Because that's maybe not a big deal.
Yeah, it's just an homage, but I do feel like that story needs to get told at some point. Just not here. He doesn't have a law firm. He's kind of distanced from Foggy and Karen. Like, this is not the point to do a story where you destroy a man. He already doesn't have a lot. You end the season on a high note, and then I think
what they're more likely to do, I think they're either going to try to do Matt's mom and Kingpin finds out his identity all at the same time, or it's going to be something else with Kingpin or in Bullseye, whatever they end up doing, because we know Bullseye's coming.
Oh, cool. Do we know his cast?
No, I don't think so. But I'm pretty sure they said he was in season 3.
Cool.
Cool. But I could be wrong with that. But I'm pretty sure that's what they said. Anyway, I haven't read about that in a while. Anyway, but I think what they're likely to do is play do a compare contrast exercise with his mother and Stick. So Stick is dead, and now he has a parental figure that's his actual parent. I think that's where they're going with that.
Okay. But yeah,
and that could be awful, or it could be just fine. Like,
it's not really where I thought this show was going to leave Matt. It's not really where I needed this show to leave. Like, I feel like the ending of this show is Matt and Foggy open the law firm back up, right? Like, that's what this show kind of feels like. Everyone else gets kind of a happy ending. Like, they play like a downer because Matt's dead, or they think Matt's dead. Everyone else just goes on with their life.
I think
Jessica opens up her investigations. Luke goes back to Harlem.
Yeah, it's impossible not to compare this to other things the Marvel movies have done. And again, we're well out of time, but this is a thing I really have to bring up that I forgot to talk about earlier. So what they might be thinking is we're gonna do sort of the opposite, except we're not actually gonna kill them. But we're gonna do sort of the opposite of Avengers. Like, they've got to be thinking Avengers as they're making this, right? Mm-hmm. So they're thinking what I'm thinking. Maybe they're thinking is they do the fake death of Iron Man thing, and then everybody knows he's alive, and so we do that with Daredevil, but nobody knows he's alive. Like,
okay.
I think they're looking at Iron Man. I don't know that that's interesting, but I think that's what they're doing. Part of my issue with Elektra is it's just Winter Soldier done not as interestingly.
Mm-hmm. Almost solely because, unlike Bucky Barnes, she's not a good person who was made to do bad things. She's a bad, crazy person.
And we don't get to organically see Matt realize that. It just sort of, in that last moment, it's, oh, I guess at some point he figured this out. Like, I don't feel like I see the point where that happens.
No.
So, like, I like that, I guess, but I don't feel like I saw the point where that happens, maybe on a second watch, but I think there are, important things that are kind of buried here and there, and stuff that is, I don't know, that maybe they think they're communicating that I'm not getting.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway.
Next season, 10 fingers.
That would be hilarious.
That would be hilarious.
I hope they don't do that, because 10 fingers is nothing, but...
I'd love them to do, like, a throwaway gag where, like, it opens with, like, something running around. He's like, I'm 10 fingers. It's like, we're all 10 fingers. And he doesn't have the 10 fingers that he changed.
No, he's just like, I'm 10 fingers. No, that's not what that means. It's like, he's like, yeah, I'm cooler than the hand, because they only had 5. I've got 10, and it's just me. Look at me.
Yep.
And I used to be a member of the 10 Rings. I have 10 rings on my 10 fingers.
So... in summary, at the end of the day, moving forward, I really hope... I think Gal gets away at the end in a real, like, cartoon villain, like, I'm sneaking away. Please don't come back, Gal.
Does she?
I kept
she's
seeing her
still
sneak
down
away.
there, and she's like... The last thing we see with her, I thought, was her just saying, like, and now we're all gonna die. Okay. I forget what exactly she said. But...
we kept cutting her, like, sneaking away, and I was like, oh, she's gonna get away. Maybe I just missed the part where she doesn't get away. But... be done with the hand. Never mention it again. Never bring this up again. Pretend it. Be like the cops and pretend it never happened, and just do the stories that you want to do in your own shows. And let's not try this again, because
I think the first season of Daredevil being as popular as it was is why Defenders ended up being what we feel like is a pretty lukewarm experience. This is not the story they would have told if they hadn't like forced that too early. You know what I mean?
Well, and they did the Marvel Cinematic Universe thing. We rushed out season 2 because it was so popular.
Yeah.
And then stay to your plan, man.
So part of it is that we had too much hand stuff too early. I mean, Iron Fist might have still had something to do with the hand. That's not even necessarily a problem. I don't even know that I mind that necessarily. But I think part of the issue too is it's not just the story stuff that they put up too early. They feel tired to me.
Yeah.
It really feels like by the time we get to this show, as you said, it's kind of obligatory, and they don't feel like they have a story to tell. They feel like we have a concept. These 4 characters fight the hand. That's what we know is gonna happen. The reason Iron Fist didn't work was because they had a concept. It was, let's make an Iron Fist show. And then nobody knew what to do with an Iron Fist show. So they should have scrapped it and not made that show until they had somebody that really had a good take on it. And they shouldn't have forced it the 11th hour. And it feels like, I know it's not all the same people working on it, but it feels like after we forced a show like that, that we weren't ready to make, and now we've got to make the show that people were really excited about, it feels like, it's almost like we lost some team morale or something. Is really what it feels like. Yeah, it feels like a basketball
feelings
team
were hurt by the by the reaction that...
I don't even know if it was the
Iron
reaction. Their feelings might have been hurt by just that show. They might not know it's not good, you know? But, like, it really
Well, they definitely
feels
know
like,
that. They fired Scott Buck.
It really feels like a basketball team that has 3 winning seasons in a row, and they like never lose, and they finally lost a game, and they don't know what to do with themselves because they're not losers.
Mm-hmm.
That's really how it watches.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just and it does the thing that Iron Fist didn't do, which it puts doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
About all of these moving forward. Maybe the glory days are behind us. Maybe they can't continue this level of quality.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, is a problem with a lot of Netflix shows.
It is.
Almost all Netflix shows.
It's a problem with TV shows right
people,
now.
People will say the first season's the best season, and then they...
Well, this is true of the CW
less.
shows, with the exception of one.
But we'll see.
Legends, because Legends just wasn't good in the first place, and I don't think the second season's any worse than the first.
It puts a worry in me...
But, iZombie stayed great, so that's interesting.
It puts a worry in me that I didn't have before. Maybe Daredevil Season 3 won't be that good.
Yeah.
Maybe Jessica Jones 2 won't be that good. Maybe Luke Cage 2 won't be that good. I didn't really have that before. Even with not loving the back half of Luke Cage, I still thought, well, they'll figure it out in Season 2.
Well,
they'll
honestly,
get that
we
handle.
chalked so much of that up to you guys just didn't need 13 episodes. You stretched that show.
Yeah.
You had a back end that wasn't as interesting as the first end. It kind of feels like 2 stories.
So now I've got doubt in me that I didn't... they put the fear in me. That I didn't have before. I just assumed these guys know what they're doing. The ending of Daredevil Season 2 wasn't the best, but, like, it was all right.
I think this makes that look better.
Oh, absolutely.
But again, I didn't wholesale hate this.
No, it wasn't.
But it's not so far above the other superhero shows on network television that these were.
Yeah. This is not the stark contrast between
this and Arrow
network network television superheroes and Netflix. Like, there was a stark divide of these are like art and these are disposable kind of trash television. This is leaning a little bit more towards that.
It is. I hate to say that.
It doesn't have the edge the other shows had, and it doesn't have the brains the other shows had. It's got more brains than Iron Fist.
But like I said, this I would watch again. Certainly Iron Fist I'm not going to.
Iron Fist was a painful experience. It was a real bonding moment for you and I. It really strengthened our friendship. This wasn't a bad watch, really, until the last episode or 2 where we're like, oh, none of this makes any sense, does it? Does this seem dumb to you? Yeah, it seems dumb to me too.
See, Iron Fist, but the difference is, Iron Fist I didn't want to go back and watch because I was pretty darn sure that just it didn't make sense and they didn't know who that character was. And people weren't acting like people. So much of people not acting like people. The Meatrums. I don't believe anything you're saying for 5 straight episodes. But this, I feel like if I watched it again, some of the questions I have might be answered. There are some things that I feel like maybe I just missed that I want to watch it for again, and we'll see what the comments look like. There might be some things that we missed where people are like, well, actually, here's the hands planned, and you guys weren't paying close attention.
I can tell you, seeing comments on Facebook and getting messages on Twitter,
that a lot of people feel the same way.
A lot of people feel the same way we do. Really underwhelmed.
But I'm just saying, like, if folks, please, if there are, plot things that we were confused by, that there's like a straight line of dialogue somewhere that explains it. But I'm still gonna assume that it wasn't in the forefront enough. Probably because
all I want is to know what is the Hands end game.
Beyond just staying alive forever.
Yeah, beyond
what
staying alive
about?
forever.
What's their...
Why did a war need to be fought over this? Why was their end game for centuries to get more of the thing that's been keeping them alive for centuries? They've been planning this forever.
Yeah, what was even the Chase issue with them?
I don't know.
Ultimately, I guess I'm not totally positive about that.
I'm not even going to get into how little sense Bakudo makes.
Yeah. Well, anyway, folks, thanks a lot for watching. We sure appreciate it. Looking forward to seeing your comments, and we will be back again probably next week for the Tick Spoilercast, so look forward to that. And in the meantime, I am Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.
See you later, folks.